From the heartland of America and coast to coast, this is EM Student with Professor Dan Scott.
If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. Whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Martin Luther King Jr. Good morning. I'm Dan Scott. Welcome to EM Student. Today, I just want to kind of do a quick talk about preparedness and the preparedness state of mind. And today, as we know, we have a change in leadership at the Capitol from one president to another. So with that comes, right now, as we all know, the country itself is divided in where we stand. But with the change in the transition in leadership comes a new vision, a new direction from the federal levels. But it also brings down to how we're going to approach how we do each year, whether it's politically. That's not what this is about. But it's more about how do we stay prepared and stay focused and stay mentally driven as we stay prepared for what's next. Coming out of 2020 and the COVID-19 and all of the disasters and emergencies that took place throughout the year that added to that, moving into now we're in 2021. Believe it or not, we're halfway through the month, almost into February of 2021. And so what are we going to do? How are we going to prepare? And it starts with, and it's not just, it's mentally, it's physically, it's financially, but it starts mentally. We have to mentally be prepared, mentally be focused enough to think about these things. There's still so much out there of like, it's never going to happen here. Why should I do these things? Why should I think about these things? Is it important for me? Why is it important for me to focus my attention and my time doing X, Y, Z? And we heard this from Todd last week, and I've heard this same argument, is that even those who live along the coast in the tsunami zones say, well, we'd never have one. What's the odds we're going to have? Eventually, nature's going to say, hey, here you go. So how do we prepare for those, not only mentally and physically, but with the supplies that we have? And I'm not saying go out and dig a bunker in your backyard and stock it full and with the food, water, and ammunition. No, I'm saying just enough to be prepared for what if. 3 days is not enough anymore. Now we're saying a week. But also, what if you have to up and leave? What if you have to grab what you have and with your family and get in your car and go? So having enough supplies to be able to make it transferable from your home to your vehicle and to get out. These are things we need to be thinking about. And it's not to scare, it's not to be scared, it's just to be prepared. What if? And if, what then? Thinking about these things. And so I want to talk to you real quick about the most simplest aspect of being prepared, which is having a emergency kit or a go bag and having it equipped properly with essential items such as clothes, some food, water, cash. A little bit of cash will never hurt you. And it doesn't have to happen where you just go out and you just do it all at once. It's a slow step-by-step process. $10 a month into the bag. You have $120 at the end of the year of cash. Small bills are going to be better. What kind of, making sure that you change it. As you can see this year, if you look over the year of my podcast, especially when I've been doing it live, you can see my clothes size maybe came up a little bit. So making sure that if I put clothes in my bag, that they're not 2 sizes too short or too small or going to be too tight. Constantly going through there and changing. It's a consistency that you build up, that you're constantly thinking about, am I ready? What if? And then what then? And keep it in that concept of always thinking about it. The water, recycling that through, using it. You use water, replace it. If you have to go into that emergency cash, replacing it. If you, for whatever reasons, something happens and you have to go in and use batteries that you put in there, replace them. These are things, it's a constant thing that we always need to be in our mind of preparedness. But it falls into emergency management in general, not only phases, but the mission areas. Because whatever we're thinking about, whether it's prevention, mitigation, response, recovery, or preparedness, we need to be in a state of mind that thinks not only about what's happening right now, but what's happening in the future or what could happen in the future. Or reverse that, what could happen in the future and how would I respond to that right now? These are things that if we're constantly thinking about, we're not caught off guard. We were caught off guard greatly by this global pandemic. We watched it as it transpired, as it grew, as it evolved, and as we see now, even here in California, especially, we're seeing a new strain. These things will take us off guard if we're not prepared for it, and it's real easy for us because we have a very short memory. And I say this as Americans, we looking back through the American history of disaster, we have a short memory, but it can go worldwide. We have a very short memory. And when things stop, we stop thinking about them because it hasn't happened in so long. So we get caught off guard again by the exact same thing that's happened because we stopped thinking about it. We get complacent, we get comfortable, and we don't want to think about what could transpire later. What do we do if, and then what do we do then? So to talk about, get your go bag in order. It's different for everybody, but you got to have the basics to water, food, money, clothes, batteries, flashlight, these little things. And then if you keep stuff at your house, build it up, buy a little bit extra every time you go shopping, an extra can of whatever, extra bottle of whatever. Take it. Toilet paper is the new gold, right? You don't want to see that rush again. So talk to your children and your family, educate them, let them understand why it's important, teach them so that they can potentially let you know when something needs to be looked at again. What kind of training have you done as far as like, if you got to get in your car and pull this stuff in your car, how long is it going to take you to do that? Is your car always half full? Half full is empty in my book, and they teach that everywhere, especially in areas where you can get stranded in snow and stuff like that. So, but if you got to jump in your car and you can't just leave because you got to go wait in line at the gas station, that takes valuable time and it could potentially lead to a lot of more issues. So, half tank of gas in your car at all times, and that's hard to do for some people. It's a change in the way we do things. A lot of things cost money, and they say, well, I don't have the money to do that. Well, we have the money to do a lot of things that others may look at and say, well, you have money to do that. Why aren't you doing the things that would benefit you and your family for not only an emergency but for the future? Cutting back on a Starbucks once a week, that's almost $6 depending on what size you get. These little things that you can look at to cut back and put that money to better use for you and your future, not only for emergency preparedness but also other financial needs. So what do we do? So I want to bring it to, so we do not need to do it all at once. And Simon Sinek says it really well in his books. If you've heard me talk about him before, I'm a big fan of his, but he says, start small, but start now. It doesn't take a lot. I mean, if you got a backpack laying around, if you got a box laying around, if you got an old empty container laying around, or if you got one that you can condense into something else, you can start building a kit just at home with what you have without spending any extra money. All it takes is you taking the time to go do that. Time is the most important thing you can give to anybody. It's the most valuable thing you can give to anybody. Give some to yourself. Take the time to do these little things that could help you in the future, but also could help you tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow is the future, but it's tomorrow. Seth Godin says he doesn't do certain things because of what they mean, but he does them because they're tomorrow, because it forces him to think about them today. These are things that we need to so we get consistency in our lives of these things that prepare us. So as I wrap up, I want to remind everybody, go take a look at the Emergency Management Growth Initiative. You can go on the website and go on LinkedIn. Please join the group on LinkedIn. Also, the Aspiring Emergency Managers Online. We've partnered with the Aspiring Emergency Managers Online, also to be found on LinkedIn, to essentially start helping with mentoring others, establishing networking possibilities, job possibilities, educational possibilities, and future trainings that are coming available, making those available to everybody, the public. Tune in. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow, Thursday, for EM Weekly at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can view that on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or you can listen to it back on your favorite podcast channel. But I wanted to leave you with this. How does the ocean say hello and goodbye? It waves. I'm Dan Scott. Talk to you soon.